Hello everyone, and welcome back to another Sims 3 building tutorial. So today I am going to show you how I created this well that I created for the Castle Museum. There will be a few things that you will need in order to create this particular well. You will need, of course, the castle kit from the Sims 3 store. I will have that linked down below. And then you will also need the Decorator Tool Mod. That is essential in order to create this. If it wasn't for that tool, I wouldn't be able to have done majority of the things that I did for this lot, let alone this well here. So I will have that linked also as well below. And then you're also going to need to make sure that you have move objects on the game for you to create it. So this well, as you can see, I also created it where you'll have the water below. And yeah, so let's just go ahead and get started with the tutorial on how to create this well. Okay, so in order to create our well, there's just going to be a few things that we're going to need to do. And one of the things that you need to do is open up the cheat menu by pressing Control, Shift, and then C. And this box or bar up here will open up, and then you're going to type in Move Objects On. That just allows us to move objects around freely, and it will let us put objects inside of other objects. We won't have that restriction. So the next thing that you're going to need to have, go ahead and have out, is some kind of columns that you would like to have. I'm just using the rustic columns from the Pets pack, and then I just have some buckets that you also get from the Pets pack. And then these are the pieces from the castle kit that you will need. I really like these for this well because they are in the column section, so I can move these wherever I want. They're not built in like the walls are built where it's based off of the grid. These I can actually move them around, and they make the nice like perfect circle design like what you see, you know, an actual well is, you know, in a nice circle. So this is why I am using the castle kit, just because I think it creates a nicer looking well. So the first thing we're going to do is we need to figure out where this well is going to go. So we need to put a roof on. So that's going to be basically wherever we can position this roof. So we're just going to go ahead and put it in. Doesn't really matter. In this example, it doesn't really matter where we put it, but you're going to need to have the grid above wherever it is that you want to do your well. So use your columns, anything to create that grid on the property, and then put the roof in wherever it is that you need it. So then once you have the roof in, you then we'll need to move these column pieces around to make a circle. Like I said, you can pretty much move them freely. So I'm just going to go ahead and get that done, and I will be back. Okay, so now I have them in position where I want them. You will have to press Alt to move them, you know, so they're not snapping to the grid. Otherwise, they just kind of snap to the grid. But you're going to press Alt. That will give you more freedom on moving your objects. And then you're just going to move them around until they create the circle that you want around your roof piece here. So the next step that we're going to do is now we're going to lower the pieces. Once we have them in place, we are going to now lower them. And this is where the Decorator Tool Mod is going to come into play. So you're going to go ahead and click Shift and then D. That is going to enable that mod, and then we're going to hit Control Shift at the same time and hold it down, and your cursor is going to get that little gear symbol on it. And once you have that, click on the objects you want to move and hit Select. It will turn green once you have it selected. That helps you know what ones you have. So select all the pieces that you want, and now we are going to lower the objects. As long as we are lowering the objects below the grid, they will not snap back to the grid if we were to move our lot somewhere else. If you raise it above the grid, the objects will snap back into place. So we're going to go ahead and lower it below, and that is going to be the left bracket key. And we're just going to keep lowering the pieces all the way down all the way down to where they're just barely visible. So if I go one more, it's too low. So just barely visible above the ground. That's where we're going to want those pieces. Now we're going to go ahead and hit Shift and then U. That will deselect everything. Or if you only want to deselect one item, you could always hit Control Shift and hold it again, and then click on the object you want to deselect and then press deselect. So now there was one object that I had forgot to list at the beginning here that you're going to need. So that is going to be in the decor options, and we're just going to go down until we find them. Here they are. Let's see, that's the round one, and here's a straight one. So these are the pieces that we want, but we want to find the ones that are completely round. Here we go. Here it is. So you're going to want these castle pieces here. So they fit perfectly with these round pieces that we put in the ground. So let's go ahead and get 4 of them out. And we are going to put them on top of our wall here. So we're going to go ahead and, depending on where it's positioned, you might be able to let it auto snap. Let's see where it goes. It might be slightly off, but let's just see where they are. See if we can just let them snap into place. Yeah, they're just a touch off. So we're just going to, with our move objects on, we're going to hit Control, and we're just kind of slightly move them into place where we would like them to be. And just keep doing that until you get them all where you want, as even as you could. So for this demonstration, that will probably be good enough. You could always sit here and be a little bit more picky on how even it is, but for this demonstration, I'm just going to leave it as is. So we're getting pretty close to getting our well done. We're now going to move our column pieces here. Just kind of rotate them, and again hit Alt so you have more freedom on where you move them. And just kind of place them in. And we're going to do the same here. And put them over here. And that will create the column pieces on the side of your well. Now what you're going to need to do is we need to lower these just a little bit, because they are just a little higher than the roof pieces. So just hit Control Shift so you get the gear back, hit Select on both of them, and the same bracket key that we used before, we're just going to now lower them. So I just went up to show the roof so I know where it is. I'm going to hit the bracket key until I get them lowered, and then I'm just hitting Shift U to deselect them. We could probably maybe lower them just a little bit more. That'll probably be good enough. So you can pretty much move them wherever you want them. You know, be as picky as you would like. So there we go, we got those done. Now you can either leave it as is, or if you would like the water feature, like what I had put in, we're going to have to add another cheat in. So if you're not comfortable using constrained floor elevation, then just go ahead and leave it as is, and you can change your paint underneath. Something similar, or at least as close as you can, maybe, so you don't have grass. And you could probably just recolor the grass underneath if you would like. So if you're not quite ready for the constrained floor elevation sheet, you can leave it as is and your well would be done. I like having the wall pieces underneath just because it gives a nice like little rim, and when we lower the grass here in a little bit, that will also, you'll be able to see some of that wall. So that's kind of why I have those round wall pieces underneath. But again, if you're not ready for constrained floor elevation, then this is where you're going to stop, and then you can go ahead and decorate around your well however you would like to decorate. For those of you that are familiar with the constrained floor elevation sheet, we are going to need to turn that on. So let's just go ahead and open up our cheat menu of Control Shift and C, and then type in constrain floor elevation false. And now we are going to be able to lower the ground underneath the well. I'm going to go ahead and get rid of my terrain paint here. We're going to go to the pond feature, and we're just going to lower it. Now this is going to change the grid above, so I'm going to put, just so I can make sure I can put the grid back, I'm just going to put a couple of columns around to create a grid above. So now I have a grid above. That is just so I can bring it back once we lower this. So we're going to go ahead and put in the pond feature here, and we're going to go in the center of our well and just lightly click on it until we start getting water. So there's the water. We're just going to kind of move it around. Just enough for the water to kind of go up against the side of the wall. We don't want to go too far out. As you can see, some of that wall is now showing, so that's kind of why I put that wall in there, because we're lowering the ground and that gives us a little bit of the stone wall. If you lowered it too much, you can always, come back and try to bring the pieces up. You're just going to have to go back in with your water here and do it again. So you just come back in and just keep lowering it just lightly, just to get that water to appear. That way you have some of that, like when you're moving around, you'll see the reflection, you'll be able to see that water. So that's kind of what you're doing. So you're just going to go around and keep doing that until you get it where you want. And now we're going to recolor it. So use whatever you want that you think looks best underneath and recolor. I'm going to go ahead and make that a stronger color that way. Just pick whatever one you can pick, go through and just find one that you like, that you think looks best underneath. So there you go. That'll probably work for this example here. And that kind of, in a way, eliminates some of that grass, and it helps bring out some more of the coloring of the water. Now, because we lowered this here, as you can see, our grid is now off. This is why I put these column pieces in. So now we're going to go ahead and go to the level terrain, and we're going to bring that back. It's very important that you bring that back to where it needs to be. Otherwise, if you move this around, if you were to save the lot and then replace it somewhere else, your roof will unfortunately lower and will no longer be there. So I'm going to go ahead and just take that cheat off. When you're not using constrained floor elevation, it's best to always turn it off when you're not using it. And now we can just delete those pieces. We can move our buckets if we would like. And now the well is complete and you have a little bit of water underneath. I hope this tutorial was helpful, and hopefully you're able to create all kinds of things with the tool mod, with the castle objects here. This is just one thing that you can create with that castle kit. If you have any comments or suggestions or questions, anything, go ahead and leave them down below, and I will see you next time. Have a wonderful day. Bye.